So are we live? All right. And you're not going to believe where I'm at. I'm actually on a boat. I've been in the Darien Gap for the last couple of days with Masako Ganaha, who's sitting right here, and Laura Loomer, not Laura Loomer, Lara Logan. Lara Loomer came before, but now it's Lara Logan. And we went out to deep into the jungle in the Darien Gap. The flows down here in Panama for the invasion are down to less than 1% of what. Sorry, I thought I saw a dolphin. Less than 1% of what they were under Biden. So the flows are down a solid 99%. Solid 99%. So we're only getting maybe on average a day or so at this point, to my knowledge. We're still trying to figure out more, but we just went in three of the camps, and the flows are way down. And we went into the top three camps. So if there were any major flows, we would have seen them. Why am I on this boat? I'm oh, I'm on this boat because I'm sorry, Masako's showing me this so I can answer any questions. And good, so I can see it on the screen. So if you have any questions, if you send them to Substack, not on Twitter, I'm not going to be answering on Twitter, but I'll be answering on Substack. I can see your questions. By the way, Alex Jones called me today. We were actually just getting signal as we left the Darien Gap, and he asked me to come on his marathon he's doing tomorrow on his X channel, and that gets huge traffic. He's getting that because he said he left me a couple voicemails that I've been so accurate on the canal and the invasion flows to the Darien Gap that, I mean, basically, Masako and I were top of the game on this. And so I'll be going on at 11 Central tomorrow with Alex Jones to do to talk about the Panama Canal. Pete Hegseth was just here. It just so happened Pete Hegseth stayed in the same hotel that I was at in Panama City. Not a coincidence, because I was researching things which those sorts of people were there. And so, interestingly, many things happened that Pete Hegseth. Oh, by the way, tomorrow for Alex Jones, it's at 11 Central on his X channel, on Alex's X channel, Alex Jones X channel. Tomorrow morning, or tomorrow at 11 Central, I will come on, and he's going to give me 30 minutes to give a brief. And I will. I'll probably be on this boat, actually. I'm not sure. Anyway, why am I on this boat? And then I'll get to Hegseth and other things. I'm on this boat because it's difficult for me to fund what I'm doing. It's very expensive. And so what I'm thinking about doing, very strongly thinking about doing, in fact, I'm doing it right now, is starting an executive expeditions business. Sort of not a tour business, but an opportunity to spend time with me, so that for the very serious people who have serious money that can help me fund what I'm doing, they come along on a boat like this, and I take them to places such as in the Darien Gap. We took this boat to the Darien Gap, landed down in the Darien, and then struck off into the jungle for a couple of days. So that's what we've just done. So there's a Starlink on this boat. That's why I can talk on the boat. Right now, we're in the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to our next place that we want to look at. So Lara Logan is the first person that I've taken with me. And so this is the way I think I may do a lot of this in the future. Let's see if it works. But I haven't actually set up a business yet. I'm just looking at it right now. And if there are people on my Substack or anywhere else that are interested in taking significant time to actually get a firsthand look at what's going on. Now, keep in mind, I've taken at this point about 60 people just into the Darien Gap. That includes congressmen. That includes Epoch Times, Daily Wire, Dr. Brett Weinstein, Dr. Chris Martinson, so many. Lara Loomer, of course, now Lara Logan. And I'm sorry, I can't mention all 60 names. It's a lot. And so nobody's gotten hurt. Nobody's gotten lost. You know, I took Ben Berkwam down there, Andy Rubin. It was incredible. And Oscar Blue, he's always on the front. He went through the Darien Gap 3 or 4 times. So I've taken a lot of people down there who have since that time really brought other aspects of the story out that I did not say about, but they did. So not because I'm hiding anything, but because I don't see, none of us see things the same way. So we all have value in the way that we see things. So when I bring somebody down, like Masako Ganaha, who's been down probably 15 times, and she's sitting beside me now, she always sees it differently than I do, and it's extremely valuable. So we sit around at a table like this, except it's usually not on a boat, and and we talk about basically what we've seen that day, and that can go on for hours actually. So we do our homework and that sort of thing, and that's why we know so much about what's going on. And so, for those people that are very serious about knowing what's going on, uh, this is one way to do it. I'm going on this boat this time. It's called the Hypnotic uh, because I've talked with the owner about actually setting up a system wherein I'll take people on executive expeditions to the Darien and in other places as well around Panama. This is a fascinating place. And again, the reason Alex Jones wants me to come on tomorrow is because I got the Panama Canal right several years in advance. We've been coming down here since Biden was installed. Masako and I and others have been down here for months. I mean, I've spent about a year in Panama. Can't be a mosquito biting me. I've spent about a year in Panama since Biden was installed because I knew the chances of this becoming a battlefield were extremely high. And not only that, that the increase in the invasion through the Darien Gap would be significant. So let's talk about Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. He happened to stay in the same hotel that I stayed in. Happened to, of course, you know how I am. Tend to get to the right places and be there when things happen. And so, talked with a lot of his people and that sort of thing. And one of the things that Pete Hegseth mentioned was about I was very happy with his speech actually, and I want to make that clear up front. And in fact, I happened to be sitting beside the speechwriter for a while, and I didn't realize it until he walked out when I told the guy with him, like, that was a great speech by Pete Hegseth. He goes, oh, the speechwriter just walked out. So too bad. Anyway, it was a great speech that he gave on the canal. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, gave a great speech on the canal, and he talked about pushing China out of here. Now, I'm going to tell you, I study this a lot. Masako studies it a lot. We study it a great deal. This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be like, hey, we come and elbow you out. China's serious players, right? They've got a lot of different forms of leverage. You got to have your game face on. One of the problems that we've had in Panama, and keep in mind that Panamanians, overwhelming majority, they know that somebody has to be here as a partner, a main partner, and very few want that to be China. Very, very few. Most people want the United States, in my view, based on just talking with many people. But we need to do this slowly, humbly, confidently, and gently, without gunfire, without gunfights, and preferably without any bloodshed. The Panamanians, I think if we come in slow and smooth, they're going to welcome us in as they are now. Like, I feel welcome here now as I did before Pete Hegseth came, and now afterwards. People are happy. I mean, they're not all happy. You might see some violent protests by Soontraks, who are some communists, but they're always protesting about something. And actually, sometimes they have good reason to protest, like their Social Security being cut, which is a very serious reason to protest. But also, then they go on the communist crazy thing. So Pete Hegseth, one of the things he did say that was a little off, just to clarify it, I'm not saying he was lying. I don't think he was lying. I think he just said something that was slightly off. He talked about the United States when they come through the canal getting first priority and free to go through the canal. And the United States actually, there's comments over here. Yeah, somebody says, tired of speech, as talk is cheap, don't talk about it, be about it. I totally get it. Totally get it. And so, I'm reading the comments. Sorry. Okay. No, I agree. I can't read that, Masako. It's too small. It's too small. Oh, there we go. I see. Oh, did this just come out while we were in the jungle today, or is that today? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Pete Hegseth is saying We'll be signing a joint declaration of the minister with the Minister of Canal Affairs on the security and operations of the Panama Canal, which is a framework for U.S. warships and auxiliary ships to sail first and free through the Panama Canal. I think Panama is going to welcome this, actually. But when he says first and free, by the way, that's not exactly accurate. It's not. First of all, we've always had first priority. We've always had first priority over everybody else. Our warships have, not ships flagged with the U.S. flag, but warships, U.S. warships have number one priority. And but also, when it comes to free, they're talking about free for the tariff to come through. In other words, the cost of the canal maintenance and whatnot, free from that. However, there are other costs like tugboats, and you also have to pay for a canal pilot, and you have to pay for the trains that help pull the ship through, and a few other things that you have to pay for. But for instance, the canal pilots, this boat that I'm on right now is owned by a canal pilot, and so he's quite knowledgeable about this. And so what's very interesting is all ships and all boats that go through the Panama Canal, that go through the locks, have to be piloted by a certified canal pilot. There's only 300 of them. About 12 are Americans. I think exactly 12 are Americans, and all the rest are Panamanian. And the training that goes into being a canal pilot, like the owner of this boat that I'm on now, the Hypnotic, which is a boat that I'll be using for executive expeditions, he is trained so that he can bring U.S. submarines through the canal. Of course, they're on the top. The canal's not that deep. But he also brings he's brought through battleships, all sorts of every form of U.S. Navy ship that goes through the Panama Canal. He can bring those ships through. He can bring small ships or the giant Neo-Panamax ships. He can bring the largest ships made that will fit through the canal. He pilots those things, right? It took 14 years of training to do that. That's far more than to be even a doctor or a airlines. That's more than for astronauts, right? Why? Because if a ship pilot messes up and does something wrong, that could be a strategic error that affects everybody on planet Earth, right? So if he messes up and smashes that ship through the locks, that's a big deal, right? And so the training is intensive. And so and so there are occasional accidents in the canal. Like, for instance, one ship lost its steering, I think it was, or anyway, the ship ended up running into a rail bridge. It's a rail bridge that we went over in the train not long ago because they fixed it, but it actually hit the bridge. So, but that was a mechanical problem apparently, and so I'm not sure that anybody 100% knows. Some think it was an actual, definitely legit mechanical problem, and others think that there may have been some monkey business. I do not know, but it does not appear that it was a canal pilot's fault. So these canal pilots, you have to pay for those. I don't care what ship you have that goes through. It doesn't matter if it's Bill Gates' boat or an aircraft carrier. It has to be a certified canal pilot, and there's only 12 Americans. The Chinese ships that go through have to have canal pilots. The United States will still have to pay for the canal pilots, which is not going to be a lot compared to the moving, like a submarine through. They also have to pay for the trains that help drag the ships and the tugboats, right, and some other incidentals. But the tariff will be free. So I was just clarifying that when Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth made the speech, first and free. Well, we've always been first. And now that, by the way, there's a couple of other countries that go through for free, actually, due to old treaties. And that's Costa Rica and Colombia, right? So they already do that. It's old treaty related stuff for things that everybody decided on in the past. And so that's quite interesting. And by the way, countries that have shorelines, because your shoreline is your border, and you can be invaded through shorelines, and it happens all the time. And countries are destroyed and overrun through their sea borders, right? And countries like the United States that have multiple sea borders, we got the Atlantic and the Pacific and the Gulf. That's pretty significant, and so you need at least two navies to defend the East and the West, right? And so, like two separate navies, right? To really do it well, because otherwise somebody can get the march on you and suddenly get over before you can get your ships, around South America, right? Or however they're going to get there. So the canal allows us to not have quite as many ships, although personally I wish we had more, big time. But countries like Colombia, they border two seas. Colombia borders the Pacific, and they border the Atlantic side. Costa Rica the same. So if they have to move their navy, I mean Costa Rica, if you're gonna move your navy all the way around South America to go to the other side of Costa Rica, that's what you would have to do, or just build more ships, right? And while you do that, but the ship's nowhere near Costa Rica to do anything for Costa Rica because it's way off in outer space at the tip of South America, right? And many countries have this problem, like say France. If you look at the map and you look at France, one side is on the Atlantic side, and the other side is the Mediterranean, right? So that's always been a defense problem for countries like France, and us, the United States. We need this canal, obviously, and we need it for every reason in the world. And furthermore, in addition to we need it and we built it, full stop. They China. Now, keep in mind, in order of customer usage, the number one customer is the United States. Number two is China, and number three is Japan, right? So China, if we get into some real conflict with China, which could happen in any way, you see it's going on now with the tariffs and that sort of thing. But if it continues to go up, China might say at some point, well, it's going to hurt us. It's going to devastate us if the canal's not there, meaning us, meaning China. Like Chinese might go, if the canal's closed, it's going to really hurt China, but it's going to crush the United States, right? It would do huge damage to us, especially during time of war. They might shut it. Now, they don't need to have a presence in the canal to shut it. Every military man knows that, especially the naval people and Air Force people, and the Army people. You can shoot from way over the horizon and take out that canal. With modern weapons, it's no problem. Like taking out the canal is no problem. What we would rather have is all the significant partners like Russia, China, Japan, United States, of course. None of us have a greater interest in closing the canal than we do in keeping it open. That is in all of our best interest, right? That we all have more interest in keeping it open than one single partner saying, well, that's it, we'll close it. Now, the canal could be hit with terrorism. It's something that obviously people have thought. They were thinking about this before the canal was built. I've got old books that were published before the canal was built, and they were talking about how they were going to secure it. I mean, they were securing it already while they were building it, right? And so the security system that the United States used to have with the canal was intense, and it was very serious. Now the canal basically stands there in the buff without any security at all, really essentially zero security. And everybody can see it, right? And so let's say very, very little, negligible. But the United States in the past, we had really serious security, including really serious intelligence all over the place looking for any threats to the canal, right? So it's not just keeping guns at both entrances of the canal to the sea. It's about intelligence. That your number one weapon is intelligence, right? Knowing that somebody may do something and how they might do it, and here they are planning it. So if you know those things, we can stop them. We can interrupt them. Let me look at some of these questions. Let me go to the top. Oh, thank you, TVO. Oh, if I click this, they can see. Oh, I see. Masako, is that if I click it, it doesn't. Oh, I see. TVO said, "Thank you, Michael. Your eyes. Thank you. I really appreciate it." And so Mark Hall says, "I think Hegseth got the cruise ship deal, not free of fees." Yeah, they're going to get fees, I think. Nicola Hansen, is PTP oil refinery still in Puerto Amuyas? I don't know. I don't know what's going on at that place. But I can tell you, I can talk your ear off about Darien, and about a few other matters of strategic significance. David Brent, current charge, as I understand, for a private sailboat as small as 35 feet is around $2,000 plus those extra fees, and then all over again on the return trip. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. Like I've gone through on on boats. If you see feet going by, that's the crew, or it might be Lara Logan too. But that's not Lara Logan. That's not her legs. Or I don't know if they could even see them. Anyway, and uh, Lara Logan, she's a trooper. She's one of the rare actual war correspondents. Let's say actual combat correspondents. I've told Masako many times. There's a lot of war correspondents out there, but the number of real, no kidding, certified hardcore war correspondents, they would fit at this table. I mean, American ones. It is extremely few that actually do a lot of time in combat. And I was sitting at this table with Laura, and I'm like, well, she's really like you would think I would know every serious combat correspondent, every American one, but I really only know Laura. And I don't know a lot that did significant combat. There were some, especially in previous wars. There were a lot that did a lot of war, but not really a lot of no kidding bullets snapping by and everybody getting shot and killed. Right? Laura, she doesn't play around. Uh, Maybe it's because she's South African, but she's one of those people who comes to America and becomes a hardcore American. You know what I mean? Because they live through some of the most anti-communist people I see, by the way, are people that came from communist countries. The people that really want to become communist typically are the ones who never lived under it, or they're the ones who are in charge of it. They're like the communist leaders. So, uh, Potadot says, who insures the pilots? Lloyd's of London? I don't know, actually. I don't know if they need insurance or if it's self-insured. Oh, let me go back up. I missed a few questions, I think. Or did I? Let me see. Scrolling down here. Yeah, American Voice is right. It would crush the U.S. The Panama Canal is vital to national interest. Absolutely. That's why I spend so much time down here. And that's why Masako and I have taken literally about 60 people in. Ann Vandersteel as well. Ann Vandersteel is always on the front line. She's been in the Darien quite a lot and is always all over America doing unbelievable. And Ann Vandersteel and Burning Edge, we've taken a lot of people. We've taken congressmen in Texas over that Colony Ridge, got the helicopter, got Congressman Luttrell, and oh gosh, he seems a little woke for me though. And another Congressman Babin, he seemed fine. But anyway, we took him over Colony Ridge. We took Epoch Times down to the Darien and over Colony Ridge in Texas as well. Daily Wire. We took all those people and we took them over there so that we could close down Colony Ridge. The Colony Ridge is not closed down. There's just a bunch of lawsuits going on. Now, Todd Bensman was the first one that tipped me off about it. And Todd has recently been down to the Darien Gap too. Todd's also very serious. So Potodot says, potato dots. Given what you have shown us, these Chinese built bridges need to go or subject to full-time inspections. We need to stop the construction of the Chinese bridge. You know, Pete Hegseth, when he gave his speech by the Panama Canal, I know exactly where it was because I just photographed from overlooks that the day before, and that's right by the China Bridge. So if you look at the bridge in the background of Pete Hegseth when he gave his Panama Canal speech, that bridge is called the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. It was built in 1962 by Americans. It's still standing, but the traffic is too heavy in Panama, and Panama City. When you're in Panama and you say Panama, that means Panama City, right? So the traffic is too heavy. They need more bridge. There's no question about that. So the Chinese are building that bridge, a debt trap, of course, and they are famous for building bridges that collapse. Just look up China bridge collapse or China building collapse, like the Chinese building that collapsed in Bangkok recently when thousands more stood. The Chinese one collapsed and killed people. It just happened with that earthquake recently in Bangkok, right? So the Chinese building fell, and they were building the building for one of the government ministries in Thailand. So Pete Hegseth gave a speech from right there. So what do we need to do about those bridges? I think it's pretty apparent. The Chinese bridge we don't know what metals are going to go in that bridge. We don't know what the other materials will be. Will they crumble and collapse? Will they corrode? If you've ever been to China, which I have, I've been all over that place. Well, not all over it. It's like saying you've been all over America. It's a pretty big place, but I've been many places in China. There's other people that spent, Westerners who've spent 20, 30, 40 years there, right? That really are very dialed in. But you'll see the poor construction, the air pollution is so thick. If you can see it, you see that land behind me in China? There is. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, yeah, you can see it on the screen. There's no way you could see that land behind me in China. No way. I mean, I've been landing in Beijing before, and it looks like the the airplane's wings are going to get stuck in the amber. I mean, it's so thick you can't see the ground. And I'm really wondering, are we going to land okay? So let me see here. Answer more questions. What was the starting for the canal at its peak? What was the staffing at the canal for the canal at its peak? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Cloud, the rights of man. Who who will own the bridge being built by China? Well, that would be Panamanian Bridge, but China is famous for debt traps. And the United States has done a lot of this too. It's not just China. The United States has done it too, so let's don't kid ourselves. But at the end of the day, oh, thanks for the light, Masako, because it's getting dark here. So she's pulling out a light. And yeah, I mean, it'll be eventually, though. United States just wants to keep the canal open and free. We want to operate the canal. It's if that canal closes, that can kill the United States. That can put us over the edge. We're talking about things that are quite serious, right? We're talking about all other things that have happened. Tens of millions of invaders who have come in, many that don't speak any language that anybody listening to this would probably even recognize. And they'll never learn English because they're coming in such numbers. They'll form Anthro-Insula. They're not educated in any way. Many of these people come. Keep in mind, I've been to 99 countries. So when I talk about these sorts of things and talk about the things that I've seen and the people that are coming through the Darien Gap, I know they're not going to fit in the United States. They're of no value to the United States, and they'll be nothing at best but disruptive. Now, there are some great ones, I'm sure, that are coming in. Look, Lara Logan came from South Africa. I mean, there's some really great ones that come. She's actually an African American now because she's an American citizen. So Lara Logan is an actually authentic African American, and actually Elon Musk is an authentic African American. There's not really many authentic African Americans, but they are because they were born and raised in South Africa, and yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah, please show video. What video are you going to show, Masako? Laura is a trooper. We stayed in a 1-star hotel last night, all of us, right? It's a hotel I've stayed for months in. And Laura noticed there's no hot water. no, that's the way we roll. So one day you're on this boat and it looks like you're living large, and then you live for months in a 1-star hotel, or Laura's, in my case, often, literally taking incoming fire while you're trying to sleep in some war. Nicola Hansen, you have been instrumental in saving the canal. Lara Logan is an amazing reporter. Thank you very much, and she is. And actually, some of Trump's people keep saying that we have moved the needle, like Burning Edge, our team, Ann Vandersteel, Masako Ganaha, and others who have joined Burning Edge, Anthony Rubin. We have really moved the needle. We really have. One of those is, again, bringing about 60 people to Panama, and also many to the Texas border. It matters when you bring them down there. You know what I'm doing? I'm just doing what the Bible says to do. Plant mustard seeds, right? Plant mustard seeds. It's really simple. It's like, was it like 3 sentences in the Bible, right? And then Special Forces 101 is mustard seed planting, right? You go and take your knowledge. Don't keep it to yourself. Find people that are like-minded and that are good people, family people, Not in the case of war, that might not be what you're looking for. But in this case, I want people that will take the investment of my time and our time, Masako's time, and take that mustard seed and grow it and then teach other people. When I took Anthony Rubin, who's doing some incredible reporting right now, by the way, I can't talk about it because he's slightly in danger right now, but he'll be out soon. So he's in another distant place. Anthony Rubin, when I took him down to Darien Gap, Masako and I took him. Then I took him largely across, not the entire U.S. border, but a lot of it. And Anthony, he just, got him on a bunch of big shows and that sort of thing. Alex Jones, Steve Bannon, I got him on all those shows, a lot of shows. Clayton Morris, I got him many shows. And so now, why? Why did I do that instead of just doing the interviews myself? Because you have to plant the mustard seeds. I want to give it to them. I want them to do the shows. A lot of times when somebody asks me to do an interview, now I should technically really do it. I mean, it would help me actually fund my operations. But that's not my first priority. My first priority is if the United States falls, we're just dead. It's just, it's over. And it's not in my nature to quit. And by the way, somebody donated $1,000 today. I'm not going to mention her name. Thank you extremely much, very much, very, very much. And I really appreciate it. And but listen, I don't thank most of the people who actually donate, because most of them are very difficult to actually thank. Like on PayPal, usually there's no email address. Even if you put your email address in, there's no way to thank you. And in a lot of ways, so a lot of times I'll just put a heart or something like that. In some cases, I'll comment. But rest assured, I see everything and I say thank you every single time I deposit a check that comes on the P.O. box or whatever. I say thank you every single time. And it's a very huge, it's not thankless to donate and help. Let's put it that way. Now, what are we doing now? Actually, I'm not going to say what we're doing now. I'll tell you when it's done. And so, but what we just did was we just went to the Darien Gap, and I took Laura out there because everybody who's followed Laura's work knows how brilliant she is, but she hasn't been here yet. So I needed to, I called and messaged her like 50 times, 100 times. I don't know. It was a lot. I mean, I was like stalking her. You got to come to the Darien Gap, right? And I would hit her at all hours of the day. And finally she said, okay. And here we are. I mean, that's how that canal was built, right? The canal was built by trying and 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 trying. And now she's right up there, sitting above me at the steering wheel of the boat. It's a sailboat, by the way. By the way, I was in the Balboa Library in Panama City recently. I spent 5 days in there. I love that library. A lot of what we do is actually book work. We have to do a lot of book work, right? And so a lot of it's in the books, and a lot of it's talking with key people, of course, and then going to key places. But the thing is so that's three major components: your nose in the books, physically going places, and talking to the right people. So that's 1 + 1 + 1. It does not equal 3. That equals 10. I mean, going to the right places, that's like, okay, 1. That's important. That's really important. But going to the right places and talking with the right people, that's not 1 + 1 = 2. That's like 1 + 1 = 3 or 4, right? And then reading the books, talking with the right people, going to the right places, and doing it consistently. Before you know it, when you see other reports, you can tell within one paragraph whether or not they might know what they're talking about. And so I've been trying very hard to get Laura down here because she's brilliant and super courageous, by the way. Thank you, Kim, about my live feeds being informative. I tell you, when I talk to American thought leaders, and they, the ones who do not alert on the Panama Canal or Panama situation, I stopped taking them seriously, actually. So over time, now Laura always knew it was very important. She was just very focused on other extremely important things, like, hugely important. There's not just one important thing that we have to focus on. That's why this requires huge teamwork, right? And we're cross-leveling by taking her out. But some of the top people that I've, big thought leaders in America who don't recognize the importance of Panama, I start thinking they're just not serious. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't, that's like not realizing how important air is to breathe or something, you know? And, but so that's why I keep taking these very serious people down through the canal, down into the Darien Gap and all over the place. We've taken people to Netherlands. We've taken, you know, help Jordan Peterson in Netherlands and that sort of thing. Taken, oh Lord, so much. But you know, the only times I didn't take people, so many people asked me when I was doing war work, they were asking me to take them into combat, and I'm like, no, that'll be a bunch of no. That was really incredibly dangerous. Um, what's that? Yucca Bridge. Yeah, please show the Yucca Bridge. But David Buffalo says something. Got in late. If the U.S. military gets on the ground, they're enforced. There could be direct contact with elements of PLA. Could be. I don't know. It depends on how froggy PLA feels. When David says PLA, he's talking about People's Liberation Army, or PLA Navy too, right? So, I mean, the place is overrun with Chinese. I mean, like obviously, I mean, China knows how important this is. That's why they're making a hard go for it. And we have to oppose them. I think that if we strongly go for China and we play a very smart game and we play like our ancestors did, we can beat them. But if you play the way the people are playing now, they're going to kick our butts. They're going to win. They will destroy the United States if we don't stand up to them. But they are brittle. China is brittle. And if we start pulling our manufacturing back and sending their students back, get rid of all of them, every single one of them, send them back. Don't want any of them in our military. Any of them that came over the border and suddenly they're in the military, out, send them out, right? And out of the United States. Yeah, they might be very patriotic people, but if you're a very patriotic person, then you know why we have to do it, right? It's not like I'm saying you need to be put in prison. If you're a truly patriotic person and you're joining the U.S. military for patriotic reasons, then you'll understand and you will not get upset when we say we can't have Chinese that just came across the border with top secret clearances and special forces, right? Or flying F-35s and that sort of thing and working at the embassies with top secret clearances. We can't have that. And we already have it. And they need to go. Everything needs to be revoked. They need to be kicked out of the United States. Or if it's decided that they can stay in the United States for some other reason, like it's truly believed that they are truly patriotic Americans, keep them. But not with top secret clearances. We know how the spy game works. And this is the most easiest spy game in the world. We're just like, yeah, you came across the border. We don't even know who you are. And now you're in the Marines. Hey, and who can make up this stuff, right? Well, United States does. When I was in the Iraq War and the Afghan War, there were Russians with accents in our military, with accents. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I can see he might be the most patriotic guy in the world. I mean, I was in combat with guys like that. And the thing is I understand there's one side of me that goes, this might be the greatest American. And what a terrible thing it would be if he were out of the military when this is a road to success in the United States. But we know what's happening now as well. And like I was out in combat with a lot of people that were not even U.S. citizens in our uniforms, like one friend from Argentina, Walt Gaia. I did a lot of combat with Walt, and I ended up having dinner at his home in Washington State, and he's from Argentina. When he was in Iraq during the war, he had to take a helicopter away from the Deuce 4, which is the unit I was with in Mosul, and he had to go down to Baghdad to swear in. I was like, why do you have to go swear in? He goes, I'm not an American. I'm like, sure seemed like an American to me. He seemed like one of the best ones I've ever seen, actually. I mean, he was great in combat. He was very loyal to the men around him, super courageous, super smart. And so do I want him to be American in the military? Oh, yeah, for sure. And I get it. There might be some of the Chinese like that, too. But we also know that the CCP is overwhelming us with a tsunami, and the patriotic Chinese that are in the military or wherever, you will understand. You will understand just like I would understand if I went to China and joined your military. How would that work? Yeah, I've learned Mandarin, so give me a top secret clearance, right? I mean, You can't make up this stuff. I mean, you've got to be a really stupid country to allow this to happen. And we need to unstupid ourselves because we're not stupid people. We're just doing stupid things, right? And let's just call it what it is. Because the people, our ancestors who built that canal over there and who did so many other great things, and like our science projects that we just give the science away in many cases, like our astronomical telescopes that are all over the world, we give that stuff away for free. If you want to get all kinds, our Library of Congress, you can go in there anywhere in the world and go in our Library of Congress, which doesn't even work very well now because I used to use it a lot, and now it's difficult for me to use, like in the last few months, because the website's not working well. Why? Because we're watching the country corrode and implode, and I'm not watching it. Masako's not watching her country, Japan. Lara Logan, sorry. These both Lauras, they both fight, so it's in my mind of two Lauras who fight. but you know, hardcore American, and Deborah Bowe says, have you reached out to Colonel Alan West? Actually, Alan wants to come down here. I'm glad you said that. Hold on, let me write that down. Thanks for saying that, Deborah. I'm gonna call him up when I hang up. Yeah. I've talked with Alan West. He should be the governor of Texas right now. If he was governor of Texas, I think we wouldn't have those problems that we're having with the clown that's the governor now, Abbott. I was next to Abbott in one of his speeches, a little speech at a small business somebody gave in McAllen. It's just a big clown show. That guy's anti-American. I'm talking about the governor of Texas. James Lord, why do you think your citing of Mayorkas at the Panama camps never came up during his impeachment hearings? I don't know, because, you know, I have all kinds of footage when he was there, and he was tweeting it. His people were tweeting it, photos of him physically there. And he should have been impeached for that alone. I don't know why it didn't come up, because people asked me for the information, and I sent it. I think, who all asked me for the information? It was some Congress people, and it was quite a few. And I don't remember, because, you know, every day is like this. We haven't gotten much sleep the last couple of days, and our whole lives are like this. And I need water. And so let me go through the questions here. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, Masako's. She's going to show the video of China Bridge, or I call it China Bridge, down in Darien. Oh, the Yucca Bridge. Yeah, they said it's for Yucca, but there's two bridges that are being built through the Darien Gap now that'll clearly go to Colombia. Hey, Diane, I will continue. Thank you very much. Very much. You've always been incredibly supportive, which I hugely help. And I'm going to reach out to Alan West and Maria M2. Oh, look at this. Masako's playing the... Was this what we just made yesterday? Okay, so this is from yesterday. Sorry, it's a little jittery. But they said this bridge was for Yucca. Does that look like a Yucca bridge to you? We have a lot better footage that we published before. Since we literally just came out of the Darien Gap, we haven't had a chance to put all the footage that we had from yesterday at all, because we literally just left the jungle hours ago and got on this boat, and now we're going back to a jungle place. Look at that. That's a big bridge. And when you see and I've already published, if you look on my Substack and you look up stigmergic, the word stigmergic, STIGMERGIC, stigmergic. If you search for that, you'll see drone footage of the canal. Stigmergic, I put that in the title, and that's how I remember that title, because of you'll see why if you look at the dispatch on my Substack called just look up stigmergic and you'll find it. Let's see, Joan 808. I wonder if it would ever get to the point that some power would just shut down the Panama Canal, and because they can. Well, I mean, some people would, yeah. Terrorists may do it. I mean, airplanes could be crashed into it. I mean, the Japanese were planning to do something similar in World War II. So, I mean, and we saw 9/11. I mean, airplanes, there's a lot of ways to hit it. There's no air defense on the canal now. We had heavy air defense when the U.S. was here, but it's gone. And David Brent says, sure, we know what metals will go into that bridge. It will be steel from the World Trade Center. I hope not. Let's see. TVO. Everyone, please donate and share this. Yeah, please do. I really appreciate it. And big time. Actually, when I took Brett Weinstein down here, he got on with Tucker Carlson, and he said that I was David's eyes, which I was honored when Dr. Weinstein said that. Brett Weinstein did his PhD work down here in Panama. He loves the jungle, man. Every time he get near the jungle, his eyes all light up. So it was a lot of fun going in the jungle with him. You could see the little boy in him was coming out because he did his PhD on these tent making bats, and he showed us some of this stuff. It was awesome. I wish he would come back down actually just for a jungle trip. Blake Hutsell. Would China hit our internet or other cyber attacks? I don't see why not. We're attacked constantly in various ways. There's thousands of attacks every day, but they're not necessarily all about taking everything offline. A lot of times the attacks are just about espionage, right? Getting into your computers so that or your telephones or whatever. Keep in mind, everything you've got can be hacked. Where's my camera? Like cameras can get hacked. Everything. These all have computers in them, right? And so, yeah, all of them can be. Marcia, support these gifted, beautiful human beings. And thank you. You have supported tremendously. I really appreciate it. You have no idea. Big time. Interestingly, too, sometimes people have written me letters, and whenever they write me a handwritten, there's thousands of comments that come in, and I'm out in the jungle and stuff. I just can't read everything, as you understand. But when somebody writes a handwritten letter, I read all those. Actually, I read them all. I read all the handwritten letters, and thank you for those. I don't respond to all because some people in the handwritten letters, they don't put any return, and all the handwritten letters have always been nice, very pleasant, and often with useful things. Potodots. What's that? Are you going to show the Las Blancas? I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. Masako's my producer. Huh? Oh yeah, put the Las Blancas. Las Blancas is a camp. Ann Vandersteel's been there quite a few times. Masako's been there many times. So we were just here at this camp. It's closed. We actually got out, but we haven't had a chance to. Before I made the video of the guy, we haven't had a chance to download everything yet. But this camp used to have. There was times when 5,000-6,000 people in one day came through. But for 2,000 to come through was normal per day, right? And so in 1 month, 89,000 came through. Not all through this camp. Maybe I'm going to guess 60,000 or 70,000 through this camp in that month. But now there was 11 or 12 people there, and I say 11 or 12 because we asked Centerfront, and Centerfront said 11 or 12. We saw 5 Haitians and 1 from Venezuela, and then there was a few others that Centerfront said were there that we didn't see. So, but otherwise, the camp is empty. Now, keep in mind, I've seen this camp empty before, just like this, like for months, abandoned. And then the flows became higher than they've ever been before. That's why I kept going back. Sorry, it's hiding me. It can't be mosquitoes. We're out way on the sea. But see, the IOMs out here, HIAS, of course, Norwegian Refugee Council, Doctors Without Morals, Red Cross. Red Cross hands out maps here to help them invade the United States. Yeah, so they've been expanding this camp and others and it just keeps growing. The village that you're going to go to tomorrow is the first village they come to. Yeah, this is very important. I really appreciate it, y'all. Kelly, thank you. And there, man. That's where those guys are living. That's where the Haitian family. Oh, he's fishing. Did he catch one? Oh man, they're fishing. European Union, Canada. How's it going to be dangerous? We got lights on. I'll eat it, man. Listen, I eat a lot of things that I've caught in my life, like fish and alligators. I never caught a crocodile, but I ate I ate some that other people caught. The people have often asked me what an alligator tastes like, and it tastes really exactly like crocodile. The same. I mean, like precisely the same. I saw a crocodile this morning actually. You guys missed it. It was out that we didn't have time to stop. That was over the new bridge at Las Blancas. Oh yeah, please. What's that? Oh, sorry. I'm watching him fish back there. Yeah, so this is the new camp that we warned about a couple of years ago. Some Imbara Indians. So this is today. This is just like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours ago, I guess. And so this was today out in the jungle, deep in the jungle, about 3 hours out beyond the roads. And but there's a unimproved road now there that we were on, and they use it for logging. So the Chinese are out there building roads, and they do that in exchange for trees. And so that's why that road's even there, that we were able to go deep into the jungle to the Imbara Indians. But we're hitting a lot of waves now, aren't we? And so the Imbara Indians are one of the Indian groups that have both benefited and greatly suffered from the huge flows that are going through their villages. Benefited by making money and by from different things, from the water that never happened before and that sort of thing. I'm having a hard time seeing this because oh, there it is. Now I made it brighter. Show the what? The bat? Oh, the bug. Show the bug. Yeah. Yeah. Pot of dots. Michael, my info was that DOD was training PLA in Colombia. When done, PLA given embassy great. Look at this. This was a bug today, way out in the jungle on a satellite dish. Pretty large, huh? That's a grasshopper. I think they call it a leaf hopper. So they're common actually out there, but it's just somewhat large. A lot of people that are from cities never see them quite that large, but actually large insects in the jungle are normal. But that one happened to be silhouetted. It's so big it looks fake. Oh, Masako said she's got one more. What are you saying? General Mattis said when Fired had a job lined up lobbying for CCP, he filed for FAR. Wow, Masako, that's awesome. Masako shot that job lined up lobbying for CCP, and he filed for his FAR. Uh, wow, I'm gonna. You know who would know that? She's right upstairs, Lara Logan, and I'll look it up myself. That's important. Let me ask Laura when I finish. Mattis. Huh. That would be ungood. Let's see. American Voice is onto something. I saw something very similar at Hickam, Oahu a year ago. Huh. Now, the Chinese have been training up in Canada. 100, they were training with the Canadian Army. Chinese Army was openly training with the Canadian Army. In fact, yeah, they definitely were. At first, a lot of people thought it was a conspiracy theory, but it turned out to be it was actually accurate. So, who in their right mind would train their enemies? It just doesn't make great sense. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm reading comments here. Oh, thank you, Nicola. If you have anybody that is, I do study a lot of history, so I'm always interested in that. David Brent says People's Liberation Army. So are they going to then liberate the people of China. That would be somewhat unlikely. Um, yep. All right, Masako, we've got to do something. Let me scroll through. Wow, there's a lot of comments. There's no way we're going to get through all of them. O'clock Central Time on X with Alex Jones. Because what's that? Say what? Oh, I'll be on tomorrow at 11 Central Time with Alex Jones on X. And I'm going to be on because he messaged to me a couple times today because I've been so accurate on the Gap and the Canal and, years in advance. And, I've basically come on a show many times, talking about how dangerous this is and that somebody was going to make a go for the canal. And I was saying that way ahead of, it was way outside of the Overton window when I was saying it. A lot of people were rolling their eyes. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time. Somebody's going for the canal. And if we don't close the Darien Gap, we're going to be dead. Not just the Darien Gap, we got to close the borders, and we got to start sending out 500,000 people a month. And I'm not seeing any movement in that direction. So, all right. Thank you all, everybody. Thank you for everybody who's been supporting my work too. Please join my Substack. You don't have to pay to join, but it's very helpful to me if you do, but you don't have to. But you can join for free. And when I'm putting things up under the paid tab later, I'll put them up under the free tab. Although some of them I haven't done that with because I end up in the jungles and whatnot, and just, it's better just to pay, and then you get everything on the first day, and then I don't have to remember to put them on the unpaid. All right, let's call it a night, Masako, because we got to do some other things, and after we see some things. Oh, Masako's going to show how people can donate. Thank you, Masako. She always thinks of the important things. Oh, thank you. So you can go. I also have Gifts and Go, and but all these different methods: PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Well, a lot of them you see Japanese bank. If you just press on those or below them, snail mail. Some people like to mail checks. That's on my michaelyon.com, but I also put it on the bottom of every one of my Substack posts. So on the bottom of all my Substack posts, there is a, if you hit one of those, it'll go to Gifts and Go or to many other methods such as crypto. And by the way, if you notice what gold is doing, it's pretty amazing. It's up to like $3,200 an ounce. I watch it because that's another one of the little indicators of what's going on. I'm not sure what it indicates, but it certainly indicates something. I mean, the price is going through the roof, and it's like $3,200 an ounce now. Pretty amazing. And while Masako does one more thing, oh, you're going to show one more video? Masako's going to show one more video, so I'll read one more comment. What? Yeah, why don't you come over? I keep talking about you. Well, here's Lara Logan right here, but if you can move that part of it. Here. She really is here. I'm not joking. I'm not just saying she's here so you'll pay attention to me. She's right. Check her voice. Voice analyzer.
Okay. Who am I talking to?
My ex and Substack.
Your ex?
No, ex, Twitter.
Oh.
X channel.
I thought.
No, this is not. This is
not your ex-wife.
This is not a call. This is a
okay.
X channel and Substack. So I was just saying hello. We're about to close down actually.
Okay.
But then you walked in.
Well, that's just in time.
Yeah, actually, somebody said that General Mattis filed for FARA because he's representing CCP.
Is that true?
I don't know. If it's
true.
It wouldn't. I said the person who would probably know it would be up there, sitting up there. I was going to ask you.
Well, I haven't checked it, but when was that supposed to have happened?
I don't know, but we'll check as soon as we.
It wouldn't
up.
surprise me, though. I mean, he is a traitor.
Mattis.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
He was trying to win. If you go back to the beginning of 2017, when Trump had the transition team in the first time, one of the things that they were talking about doing was bringing in General Mattis as the first Secretary of Defense, which they did. And what was he trying to do? He was trying to bring in Michelle Flournoy as his deputy. Well, who's Michelle Flournoy? I mean, she literally had already moved into the Pentagon because she was going to be Hillary Clinton's Secretary of Defense. So you tell me, why would Trump's pick for SecDef, why would he want Hillary Clinton's pick for SecDef as his number 2? Why would you want that? And then not only that, Michelle Flournoy was so confident. Amazing how confident the Clinton campaign was of victory. She had moved teams of people into the Pentagon, and they were already ordering briefing papers from different desks inside the Pentagon and so on. Right. And when Trump won, they had to be physically forced out because they were refusing to move. And I have that from a very high-level source.
Mattis was refusing?
No, or Michelle Flournoy. Because, I mean, that is how entrenched she was in the Clinton administration. So why would Mad Dog Mattis, why would he want her as his deputy? Why would he want a hardcore Clintonite as his deputy?
That's hardcore globalist.
That's what it is. Hardcore traitor.
I've never looked at him as a traitor, but I stopped paying attention to him several years ago. So I didn't keep tracking him.
Well, anyone who was in the Trump administration and had access to the classified information, which proved that Trump was not a Russian spy, that he was not working for Vladimir Putin, that Russia collusion was created, a fiction created by the Clinton campaign and all their, allies. I mean, that's a seditious conspiracy. So if you were in that administration and you didn't speak up, as far as I'm concerned, you betrayed your people.
Speaking of seditious conspiracy, you mentioned today the colonel up in
that base in Greenland.
Yeah,
the base with the impossible name.
Yeah.
And people, I saw these headlines that she was removed from her position, this colonel, who was a commander of this base, U.S. base in Greenland, because she criticized the vice president. And it's so frustrating because people just don't know the law. It's not because she criticized the vice president. It's because the vice president articulated the policy of the president of the United States, who is also the commander-in-chief. And as you know, being a veteran and a former Green Beret, what's the chain of command?
Yeah, she definitely would be fired within 1 or 2 minutes.
So when you're a colonel, do you get to set policy for the United States of America?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Are you voted into office?
Right.
Oh, no. Who's your boss? The commander-in-chief.
Right.
That's who you work for.
That's
so your job is to carry out his orders. So what she did was subversion, because she spoke up and said the policies of, and the words of the vice president did not represent that base.
When I did not see subversion is when our border is being overrun and Biden's letting it happen. And nobody said, hey, that'll be enough of that. No general stood up and said, no active duty general stood up and said, hey, we're being invaded. We're actually being invaded.
Yeah, they've turned human beings into weapon systems.
Yep.
Yeah, they brought in an entire shadow country.
Yeah, and we don't even know the numbers. We know one of the trickles, relatively speaking, was Darien Gap, about 1.4 million while Biden was in office. But relatively speaking, that's only a small subset of the numbers who came through.
Well, they've acknowledged 15 million, right?
Right.
And the real numbers, for anyone who knows how this works, are more like 18 to 20 million. Think about a country like El Salvador. What is it? 11, 12 million is the population. So you have an entire nation that's been imported, a shadow culture. Right. And now they say you can't take them out. So if one party can bring them in and nobody can remove them, then that's a very interesting weapon that you've created then, right?
Yeah, Anthony Rubin and Carlos Arello, which are people that we've worked with on the border quite a lot, they've been knocking on hundreds of doors. They spent months doing it, going around the United States, and almost every family of the migrante that they could get addresses to because a lot of them are all in like one apartment building. They almost all had new babies.
Now he's muckraker, right?
Muckraker.
Yeah,
right.
they've done some amazing
Yeah.
work. Yeah. I really like those guys.
We had him down in the Darien Gap. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw their stuff. Well, but this is the problem, Michael, is yes, those people have had babies, some of them, but also, you know, the way I try to explain it is remember when BLM and George Floyd and all that happened, right? They used, you know, that cause and black people, quite frankly, as a cover for the real operation, right? And that's the same thing that they've done here. They've used good people, hardworking people, decent people, seeking a better life. They've used them as a cover. They've used their children. They've and the worst part of it is that they're the ones now, those ordinary people, the good people, they're the ones who'll pay the price. Again, because you know, and this always happens, right? Every single time. This is what happens. Because they'll be the ones that are the easiest to find. They'll be the ones that are the easiest to get rid of.
That's right. The real players, the ones that come in CCP.
It's the terrorists
and that sort of thing.
It's the Chinese spies, the cells that you've identified. It's the small units from. I mean, whether it's hackers or whether it's cyber experts or whether it's spies or whether it's over 250,000 uniformed members of the People's Liberation Army of the CCP who have come in here, and they're not the only ones. IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps.
We've seen a huge amount of Iranians come through the Darien.
Yes, and you know, and all these others. And by the way, you know, a law enforcement officer from Homeland Security Investigations said to me years ago, I was down in Laredo, and he was talking about a group of Africans who had been held in Mexico for 2.5 years, and were coming over, and he said to me, you know, in that 2.5 years that they spent surviving this journey and surviving the cartels in Mexico, who did they become? What do you have to become in order to survive that? You know, and so not only is this like the Trail of Tears, right, that stretches from all over the world. The Darien Gap, as we heard, you know, from all those people that I was lucky enough to meet because of you, you know, what did they say over and over again? They couldn't bear the bodies in the rivers. You know,
they were telling you that today. Today, Laura was out in the jungle, and some of the people were talking about all the bodies they see in the rivers.
Yes.
I mean, you've heard it with your own ears.
Talk to them a lot about that. People with broken bones who died in the forests, whose bodies have never been recovered. People who died from snake bites. People who got sick. People who made it to the shores and were washed away in the flash floods. Babies. I mean, this man, he was one of the men, tribal Indians I spoke to, right?
In Barat.
Yeah. He was still visibly moved by it. I mean, because he described to me pregnant women lying dead on the shores.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Nobody wants to see that.
Right.
Nobody wants to see that. You can't just forget that. I mean, you know, what happens to your humanity if you just erase that? Well, we know what happens. You end up with people like John Brennan and Victoria Nuland and the cartels.
And you saw all those sleeping pads in the river today that were caught on the strainers in the river.
Yeah.
There's so much plastic in those previously pristine rivers.
Oh, yeah, but you make sure that you get your paper straw, Michael.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, you could see those, like when I first went out to the place you were at today, you know, today we were at Bajo Chiquito. I first went out there about roughly 4 years ago, and it was still pristine, actually. And now, look at all, it was actually a lot worse just a month or two ago, but the flows.
Right, because the flows come down. So, well, interestingly.
But it's horrible now.
It's, well, because these things take a long time, you know, to disintegrate.
Yeah.
I've seen it. You've seen it in the Rio Grande, right? You see all the rafts that come across, and the life jackets and the paraphernalia. And then there's places where you come on shore, and it's a sea of trash as far as the eye can see, right? And there's no environmental groups that seem to have any issue with that.
Yeah.
But I will say, you know, you pointed out how these children that live here, how they're in the water all the time. They wake up and they swim, and you know, they jump in the river in the afternoon when they're hot, and they're swimming again in the evening, right? They live in the water. And so I asked one of the tribal gentlemen that I spoke to, I asked him about, what does the river mean to you? And he said, it's life to us. The river is life. Like, without the river, we have nothing, because it's our food source. It's, you know, obviously our water source. It's the center of their existence.
It is. They're river people.
Yes.
Right.
They're river people. So when you have dead bodies floating in the river, that contaminate the water and everything, right? That has massive consequences.
They can't live away from that river, right?
No,
or those rivers.
Not to mention, you want your. We saw lots of kids swimming in the river, playing in the river, bathing in the river. Do you want them to be dead bodies floating by while they're doing that?
Oh, they're literally river people. I mean, they're in the river all the time. That's why they're so clean. Well, and then all the trash came down from the aliens, and the kids started getting sick. Adults started getting sick. Waterborne illnesses and a bad form of malaria called Plasmodium falciparum from Africa. Bad forms of dengue, because not all dengue or malaria is created equally, and so the bad forms have come, and another disease, Oropouche, is there now. And
But you know what is one of the longer term sort of, I don't know, side effects of this that we didn't talk about was how because there was so many people coming through here for so long, there was so much money to be made. So it's obvious there's when you go through those areas, right? There's not huge amounts of money. Often people are very poor. So now they had the ability to make money by running those boats, running people there, the people that had the little store that we were at. And so what they talked about, they'd never, I mean, for them economically, this was a huge boost.
Big.
Huge for them. And so now, I mean, what a number of them said to me was, well, we survived, without them before, we can do it again. But what happened is they stopped farming. They stopped doing the things that they have traditionally done. So one of the gentlemen said to me that it's going to take at least 2 years for their food supplies there to recover because they need to plant again, and they didn't plant.
Yeah, and they've told me that problem many times, and a lot of the young people now, they got so much money, they've actually gone gangster, and
or
real
left
gangster,
and gone to the cities.
That's right, and they've started doing drugs and alcohol, and now some have actually started beating their wives, and they've said they've never ever had that problem before. Like the beating of wives in Imbra villages is like an unheard of thing, but now they've got a bunch of drugs and alcohol going on, and so now that's become a problem.
Yeah, it is kind of incredible because, I mean, you are an amazing guide to this place. You have been here so much, more than anyone I know.
Masako as well.
And Masako as well. She's like the silent strength behind Michael Young.
She is.
She's the real weapon system in this operation. She's the samurai and the ninja. Yeah, all in one. The samurai warrior. But, I mean, it's really... I mean, I'm benefiting from all your years of hard work by being able to, to cut the corners and not have to figure it all out on my own.
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, and not easy, but it is like going back in time.
It is,
right?
Yeah, it is. Look, they have the stocks there that they do punishment with.
No, I hated that. Why'd you have to mention that?
Actually, it doesn't
it's like
bother
a stockade.
me. It doesn't
I know
bother
it doesn't
me
bother you,
all.
which, by the way, bothers me. That it doesn't bother you.
It doesn't bother me because I spend so much time in villages like this around the world. I know when they do punishment like that, it'll actually be gentle. And they'll just set you down. And we're talking stocks, but not for your hands and head. They put your ankles in them, and they'll just put you out there for a couple of hours. If you get drunk and hit your wife, you're going on those stocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't show up to a village meeting 3 times, you're going in the stocks.
That's right. They'll put them in for a couple of hours. But they just sit on the ground.
I liked how one of the guys said, oh, no, they're not trying to hurt you. They'll check for snakes and that before they lock you in there. And I'm like,
I've seen them do it.
Oh, that's great.
When Diane Edrington, we were out at one of the Improv villages a few years ago. Oh, there, you got the stocks there?
Yeah, Masako's got everything.
Masako found them. Oh.
That's
that's in Maranganti. There's the stocks right there.
That's my butt, Masako.
Yeah, that's right.
What exactly were you filming, Masako? Yeah. She's laughing.
Yeah,
she's my sleeping partner.
Yeah.
We both go to sleep on when the car starts moving.
Yeah.
That what you have.
Freezing jungle.
You know what I was just looking up, because they say it's not really a jungle, right? They say it's a rainforest.
What's the difference?
Well, and I just looked that up actually. So I think that what the difference is that these
Oh, here we go. Here's the stocks.
They put men in there too.
I'm talking about this stuff.
They put grown men in there.
I mean, look at it, and the phone booth, by the way.
That's where Superman changes his clothes.
That's where Superman changes his clothes.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, imagine putting a kid in there. That would break my heart. I wonder what happens if you go and break open the stockade and set them free.
When I was in school, you still got paddled. And my dad hit us with the belt.
We got hit too.
So, I mean, we'd rather.
My mother would hit us with the wooden spoon.
Get them a good beating rather than, because the Embra don't beat their kids. They don't beat. You notice the Embra kids are very happy. They're super happy. Yeah. They're always like, hello, hello. They never beg for anything. They can climb those trees unbelievably. They swim like crazy. Yeah. They roll in the mud. They're always in the river. And so they can all swim like fish.
Yeah.
So sometimes, depending on, in some villages, there happens to be trees that are in opportune places to jump into the river. They'll go way up in these trees, jump into the river. In the village we were at today, there's one tree that you can't get very high, and they'll jump in. First they yell at me to watch, then they jump in, then they roll in the mud, then they climb back up the tree again and do it again. And they're super healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're the most well-behaved kids. I think Americans could use some stocks.
No.
Why not?
I know.
We'd probably misuse them.
No, come on. Yeah, we'd probably misuse them. I think they had those, and they got rid of them. And by the way, the British used them during the war, so it would have, really bad history behind it.
Well, we'd have to redo the history. But, listen.
You can't redo the history.
They always do. Listen, no, I mean, in other words, do it better. But I was out in the jungle in Burma with some Korean freedom fighters. They were, or what do you call? And so I was out with them, and I always ask in these.
They are freedom fighters.
Yeah, and I always ask people, how do you do your justice, whether it's with Afghans or Iraqis or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the Korean people said, I said, what happens if somebody commits a crime? They're like, oh, we do it. And I said, do you go to the police or something like that? Well, how are they going to do it? Because we're way out in the jungle. It's like, no, if a man does something really bad, we will tie him to a pole in his house, and he has to sit there all night. And then in the morning we release him. And I said, how do you tie him? Like, they're like, no, we tie his arm to the pole. He can still drink water and things like that. But, but
that tells you they're gentle people.
Down. Yeah, he has to sit down and be tied to the pole and think about what he did. That's what their stocks are. It's just think about, sorry about that. It's just think about what you did,
Well, I would urge anyone who wants to know about the Korean people to go to the Free Burma Rangers website and see what Dave Eubank is doing. They're amazing. And I get daily updates actually from Dave Eubank and his team. And there's been some terrible, terrible, terrible fighting. There's so much destruction, so much death, and nobody cares.
Dave Eubank is the man. I mean, when it comes to Free Burma,
soldier of God.
when you and I are at the same time, we're trying to get people out of Afghanistan, and I was in Panama doing it, and you were in Texas, I think, maybe.
Didn't sleep for weeks.
What's that?
Didn't sleep for weeks.
I know it was a lot.
It was terrible.
And when there was this one family, and they did get out, and I ran into a dead end. You told me they weren't going to be able to get through the gate, and I was like, we can get them through the gate. And we got them through the Taliban checkpoints and whatnot through.
Yeah.
But they didn't get through the gate. And so finally, I was at my wit's end. I mean, I was calling CENTCOM and the whole works, and finally, I said, I'm going to call Dave Eubank. I'm at my wit's end. And Dave gave it his best too. He didn't pull it off either, but he got closer than I did.
I was talking to him every day during that time. Yeah,
he was awesome.
He went in and they went in through the north.
It's like that's right. That's how they got through the north, the Tajikistan, right?
Yes.
And so when I ran into a dead end, I called Dave Eubank. So that should tell you what I think of him.
Yeah. Yeah, that he's a miracle worker because he is.
Yeah, he is. He's always off in Iraq. I think he's gone there now.
Syria.
Right? Or Syria.
No, he's still with the Karen,
Kurds, right?
He's with the Karen.
No, he goes with the Karen.
He does go with the Kurds. Yes.
We've tried to get him to come down to the Darien, but he's got his plate full between Iraq and
he's
Burma
nonstop
and all that. Yeah.
With his amazing kids and his incredible wife Karen.
Oh, his kids, man, they're like, if you were raised like that, I mean, I bet they knew how to ride horses long before they ever saw a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did a film one day for my series on Fox Nation, and he gave me this footage of him teaching his kids to swim, and they're tiny. He just throws them in the river, and the river's raging. It's not like a little stream, you know. Like that's how you learn.
He's awesome. He speaks Thai. I mean, his
Yeah.
parents were missionaries in Thailand.
That's right.
And then he went to the army. He became a
Green
Green
Beret.
Beret officer.
Yeah.
And then
He had just quit actually. And it was what happened was there was a Korean man who walked out of Burma
right.
into Thailand, and he went to go and see his father. And when he was talking to his father, who was a missionary, as you said, he looked up and there was a picture of Dave on the wall in his uniform as a Green Beret.
Right.
And he said, I want your son to come and save us. And Dave's dad called him, told him about this. And Dave said to his girlfriend at the time, Karen, I'm going, come with me and marry me. And she said yes.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
And you know, when I've been out with the Karen people, they have like Green Beret pictures on some of their walls in their villages.
Yes,
And
because they built the Free Burma Rangers, which
did.
is and they in hospitals and maternal mortality. I mean everything. Dentists. I mean every form of healthcare that you can imagine. But also they took a people who were unarmed and who were gentle by nature and who were being absolutely, decimated by the regime in that country, and they helped them fight for themselves.
Oh, the Karen people. I walked into one of their classrooms, and there was literally a pig and a dog, and I bought photos of it. I mean, it's a dirt classroom, and there boys on one side, girls on the other, and they had like trigonometry up on the board, and they were learning French and English and one other language. And so I walked in, I was like, "Hello," and so the teacher asked me to come teach English. So I said, "Okay." So I started talking with them, about where I was from and things like that. This is way out in the jungle. And by the way, when we were going up there was a body of a dead soldier floating down the river.
Yeah.
I mean, it went right by our boat. It was still in uniform. There had been an ambush upstream, and 3 soldiers were killed. So it must have been one of those.
You know what's incredible about
It's
those?
a straight up war.
It is, and those people who were trained by the Free Burma Rangers. The amazing part about them is they're so grateful for what Dave and what God has done for them, that they will go with him to Syria and fight.
One was
and help.
killed in Syria.
And by the way, they don't go to fight. They go to help. They go to bring medicine and medical care and all that to the front line.
Yeah.
And they only pick up a weapon when they have to.
Everybody loves the Karen people. I mean, they're
except the Burmese
except
government.
for the Burmese.
Except for the regime.
I mean, there's something
the junta.
There's something about them that's very likable, like the Imbara people. You spend time with them and you start to like them very quickly.
It's a gentleness.
Yeah, but they will fight. Yeah.
Sure, no. Being gentle shouldn't be mistaken for weakness.
No, they got some call of the wild in them, and the Karen do too.
Of course.
They'll get out there and mix it up.
Yeah, but look what it takes to survive out here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
You got to have the call of the wild or you're not going to make it.
You ain't going to make it.
When our boat left the shore today, I got a picture because there was a cat on the shore in between these dogs. And, you don't see a lot of cats out here.
Right.
And when we came back, I saw the buzzards and I was like, what is that? And the cat was dead and the buzzards were eating it. You even went and took footage.
I did. And I did that for a specific reason. Because I've been telling people for the last 4 years, those buzzards are eating a lot of the people in the Darien Gap.
Yeah.
And there's, and I'm not saying that as shock value. I'm saying this is reality. I mean, there's the Darien Gap during Biden's time in the first year when Masako and I first started going out there were probably 10% fatalities. And that you've been in a lot of war. That is like an over the top level number, right? But now it's got to be fewer than 1%. Of course, now it's
unscientific number, but nevertheless,
we were all like Chuck Holton, who knows Dave Eubank extremely well. In fact, his son was just with him, or his daughter. His daughter married, and anyway, they're very close. So some of our close friends were just with Dave over in Thailand. So Chuck, who lives in Thailand, we were out together in the Darien Gap, and we sat down one night. We're like, there's a lot of death going on here, and so we started discussing how much do you think? What's the percentage here? Because the percentage in my head sounds like would be exaggerating if I say it out loud.
Yeah.
Right. So we talked about it. I'm like, I think it's at least 10%. I think that's a low number. And Chuck was like, I was thinking about the 10 or 15. And Masako, what did you say? When those first times we went to Bajo, it was unbelievable. And Anyway, but the numbers have clearly gone down. Like now, I would say it's fewer than 1%, even when you're getting those 2,000 per day.
Well, that's one of the guys we spoke to today in the village said that was in part because they started using the boats. See, and that once he said that the death toll went down significantly once they started sending the boats up to transport people.
They did that. That helped. They also, it helped invade us. And they also, Centerfront went and put ropes on the Mountain of Death.
Centerfront being like the border patrol.
Yeah, the guys you saw today.
Yeah.
And, sorry,
I'm translating for you, Michael.
And, sorry. And Centerfront started putting up ropes, and they started doing more combat patrols. And they killed a bunch of the people that were killing Migrante, too. They killed some people from both of those villages you were in today. They killed people from Bajo Quito and from Lajas Blancas that were out there doing it. Some of the young men who had gotten into it anyway. So they put up rope. The death toll decreased for numerous reasons. One is they put up the ropes. They made the paths easier in the jungle too by putting up, but also they straightened.
You know what's had the most dramatic impact on the death toll?
Decreasing the number to zero, almost.
I mean, there's almost nobody coming through here now, so there's almost nobody dying.
There's almost none. I would say that, I mean, I've been saying it's down 95%, but now I'm going to say it's down 99% plus.
Well, I was on my way to pee when you stopped me, so I'm going to go to the bathroom now. But before I leave, I want to say this. When are we going to stop defining the border security in terms of immigration? We keep doing it. We're still doing it. We're still doing it now. We say the number of immigrants is up, it's down, it's this, is that. National security and border security is not defined by the number of people, simply by the number of people coming across your border.
Right.
That is one metric, but we use it as the all defining metric. And it hurts us when the border's open, and it hurts us when the border's closed, because we're not really dealing with the security issues.
Not at all.
We haven't defined it, number one. Right. We haven't even defined it. Let's just start right there. Right. Everybody says, "Oh, the border is secure because people aren't coming across." At least the Trump administration is attacking this on an asymmetric plane.
We have to be careful. They're not coming across the southern border as much as they used to. But what about the northern border? Now, that's more than 5,000 miles of border.
Still not coming across. I mean, they've still shut it down dramatically from what it was. But my point is that designating the cartels as terrorist organizations, now you're beginning to talk about real security metrics, right? But we have yet to see how that's going to play out.
But remember, it's not the cartels; it's United Nations that are like.
That's
you'll hear Jason all the time talking about, or Jason in Texas.
Jason Jones.
Jason Jones. He's super smart. I like to listen to him, but he always focuses on the cartels, Mexican. I'm like, Jason. Mexican cartels didn't get those guys from Angola and get them through Turkey and over to Brazil.
Because what you're talking about. So just like the cartels today are producing a cocktail of drugs, it's got xylazine and fentanyl and opioids and whatever else in it, right? Heroin and so on. Right. They're doing the same thing with this. Right. You say it's not just the cartels; it's the NGOs. I say they're all working together.
Oh, for sure.
They're one and the same. Right, the NGO...
Pius is a cartel. Yeah. Catholic Charities is a cartel.
The NGO industrial complex has been financing a significant portion of the trade in human beings and the invasion of the United States, but using the taxpayer to do it. Right. And also, we all know that none of this happens unless you have cooperation from the highest levels of government. We'll go back to when Joe Biden when Joe Biden was given the 2020 election, when it was stolen, right? What was one of the first things that happened before he even took office? Jake Sullivan, and there was another woman with him, I don't remember her name. They went all over Latin America, publicly letting everybody know, come to the United States. That was the dog whistle. Well, did they meet with other, representatives into the cartels and into the NGOs and so on? They let the world know that they were opening up the borders for this invasion. So what was happening behind the scenes? I would urge people to look very closely at the relationship between the deep state and people like Sinaloa, because there is a lot there.
Even when we were in Colombia with Chuck, actually, we saw, because we went to the Darien side in Colombia too, and which was pretty actually really no kidding dangerous. And it felt like it, and we finally punched out because it was like this is going to go wrong.
Well, if it was dangerous for you, Michael, it must have been really bad.
Yeah, I was like, I feel this is wrong. It's time to go. It's that we've extended past the OODA loop here. So, but anyway, we were in a hotel later in Cartagena or someplace, and on CNN, that's the only time I watch TV is it's
Chicken Noodle News. Did you say?
Chicken Noodle News? There you go. And they were showing people how to get in Spanish. They were showing people how to get in.
Oh yeah,
on CNN. In Spanish.
Absolutely. But so this is what I would say is that right now I know about camps where children are being trafficked that are run by, say, for example, Islamic terrorist organizations who are working with cartels, who are funneling, children into certain places for strategic alliances and so on. I mean, the days where these threats were separated are over. And in fact, someone in intelligence said to me years ago that the cartels are the army of the deep state.
Yeah, that's clear. And we should talk about that in a different time because that is a whole thing. And it's very
all
obvious.
These things that you're seeing, whether it's HIAS or the UN or the cartels now, terrorist organizations, or people within the U.S. system, the Open Borders Network, of Open Society Foundations, and look at that. That's an NGO. See, they're all different sides of the same coin, and Islamic terrorism funds into that because look at the networks of Islamic terror and the networks of Marxists, right? And you find this nexus all the time. You see it on the campuses, all across America, in the pro Hamas protests and the anti-Israel demonstrations, right? There you see that in action. But that's been in place for years. It's just only now revealing itself.
Yeah, that's true. It is. We got a call tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to pee.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you, Michael. This man is, and Masako over there. I can't thank you enough for bringing us here and for sharing what you know and showing us around. It means a lot.
More to come. We should do. We're still live right now, so we're still live right now. So Masako, let's go ahead and shut it down because we got to do that other thing that we are getting behind on. And thank y'all, everybody. That was a surprise. Laura walked by. Luckily, she had to go to the restroom. That's why she came downstairs. Let's see. All right. Thank y'all, everybody. And let's do it. Time to shut down, Masako. Oh, Masako, my producer, reminds me again to remind that I'll be on Alex Jones tomorrow at 11 Central Time. So I'll be on Alex Jones to talk about the Panama Canal and the Darien Gap and any other things he wants to talk about that I happen to know anything about. And that'll be it. So please go to my Substack and subscribe or share it. It will be very helpful, or leave a comment. Thank you very much for tuning in.
I'm going to show the boat trip and then close this.
Okay, you show the boat trip because I got to set up for this thing. Masako's going to show the boat trip. All right, take her up. That's how it goes. Está perfecto. Voy a ponerle el gancho.